And the BBC are in lukewarm water over a clumsy Nick Robinson subjunctive.
Yes, BBC's Nick Robinson, I should have been clearer, over Israel has murdered Palestinian claims. So he was interviewing David Cameron. I still can't call him Lord. He's not my Lord. And he was saying that he used the phrase, Israel has murdered tens of thousands of innocent Palestinians. And obviously that is strange immediately because it's not really a war word, is it? Murder.
No.
You say killed. In war, you don't really say murdered. So it sounds already a bit biased. And he's sort of apologised on X and said, I should have been clear that I was not expressing my own view, let alone that of the BBC. So you wonder whose it was then. I mean, it wasn't anyone's. Now, I suppose some people on the pro-Palestine side would use a phrase like that. So you could argue, is it sort of the adversarial style the BBC's known for? But, of course, the problem is when you've already been known to be suspected of bias, refusing to call Hamas terrorists and so on, everyone is now looking for the BBC to behave like this, and so they've walked right into that again. Although a BBC spokesman says that the BBC holds itself to high standards of impartial reporting and rejects the suggestion that we are biased against Israel, but everyone thinks they are somehow.
Yeah. I think, having looked at the question, I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt that he intended to make it a sort of a hypothetical question. Exactly. But the way he said it didn't come across that way. If I was partial to the Israeli cause, I would have found that unacceptable.
And it echoes comments that have been made by other BBC journalists. One of them referred to, in an interview said, so the Israeli army are happy to kill children, which is a very loaded way to phrase that. And also, this is repeated, time and time again, that Israel has killed tens of thousands of innocent Palestinians. Yeah. And in reality, a huge swathe of those are Hamas militants. Yeah. And Hamas use civilians as human shields. So it's difficult to kill them. Really, the blood is on Hamas's hands as much as Israel's.
It's extraordinarily difficult. I mean, you could talk for an hour about whether or not the word murder is appropriate in war. A lot of people say, well, philosophers have dedicated their lives to trying to understand the legitimacy of taking another life under certain conditions. And I am not 100% clear, maybe I should find out, whether they are technically at war, because it's not technically quite the same as two sovereign nations, is it? In that regard. So it's quite difficult to say, well, is this war? Do you know what I mean?
It's an asymmetric war, but if Israel doesn't wage war on Hamas, then basically we've set the precedent where Hamas can just go into Israel, kill whoever it wants, go back, and then Israel can't attack them because some civilians might die.
I'm not denying the legitimacy, just what category. Because in the same way that the BBC got into trouble for refusing to say that Hamas are a terrorist organisation. Well, if you say they're a terrorist organisation, then you can't be at war with them, because you can only be at war with another sovereign state.
Right.
And Hamas, you've essentially said they're illegitimate because they're a terrorist organisation. You see what I mean? It's very difficult. But still, Robinson needs to be careful.